What is going on, everybody? In this video, I thought it'd be pretty fun to walk you through how to create an MP3 player using Python. Assuming you have some MP3 files to work with, I have a folder called Music, and within it, I have a few MP3 files. If you do need some MP3 files to work with, you can always go to YouTube's audio library and download some for non-commercial use. But here are a few songs that I picked. Now what I'm gonna do is take my music folder, you can name it something else if you want to, and I will drag and drop it into my project folder, the same one that contains my main Python file. Let's start off with some imports. We will import the OS module. The OS module interacts with the operating system. We're also going to use Pygame. Import Pygame. If Pygame is underlined red, you can hover over it, then click Install Package Pygame. Pygame has a built-in audio mixer and it's really convenient to use. Now another option is within your terminal to install Pygame, you would type pip install Pygame. But it looks like it has already worked. Now when creating a program, I like to add the following line of code. If dunder name is equal to a string of dunder main. If so, we will call a main function, which we still need to declare. This line of code checks to see if we're running our main Python file directly, or if it's being imported as a module in another script. We're going to be running this file directly. We need to define a function of main. Define main. This is where we'll have our main body of code, within the main function. What we'll do within the main function first, when we start our program, we're going to initialize Pygame's audio mixer. We will access Pygame, access its mixer, then call the init function to initialize it. Basically, mixer is a Pygame module for loading and playing sounds. Now, if you would like, you can surround this with a try block. Try and initialize the audio mixer. If we encounter an exception, except pygame.error, we'll give it an alias as e. We'll print something like audio initialization failed. And we can print the error message too, which we've named as e. Then we will return to exit the main function. Now, if we were to run this, within our output, we have a Pygame support prompt. This is kind of annoying. You can actually suppress it. Here's how. After importing the operating system, but before importing Pygame, we can access the OS module, then access environment, which is shortened to environ, subscript operator, pygame underscore hide underscore support underscore prompt. We will set this to a string of hide, and that should hide that support prompt, which it does. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that you have to do this. I wish we didn't have that support prompt anyways. Our audio mixer is initialized. What can we do now? I'm going to create a variable, a folder. It's going to contain a name, the name of our folder. Mine is music, but yours might be something different depending on what you named it. Folder equals a string of music. If we're working with file paths, I can use this folder as a variable. Now we'll check to see if this folder doesn't exist. If so, we'll print a message. You can write the following. Let me scroll down a little bit. If not access OS, access path, then call the isDir function. Path is a module within the OS library. Isdir returns true if the file path we pass in exists. So if we were to take our variable folder and pass that in, if this folder exists, then we'll return true. But we're using if not. If this folder doesn't exist, what do you want to do? We'll print a message. We'll print, I'll use an F string, folder, then insert the folder variable, not found. I'll put this within single quotes too. And then return. to exit the main function up here. I do have a folder called music. Currently, if I run this program, nothing happens, which is good. But let's say that the folder doesn't exist, or I misspell the string. Music with an extra C. Well, the folder of music with 2 C's wasn't found. So that's how you can use the isdir function to check to see if a folder or directory exists. Now, within this folder, we have to get all the MP3 files. Here's how. This will be a list of MP3 files. We'll name the list mp3_files equals a list comprehension. So with the list comprehension, I like to start with the for loop portion first. For every file in, then we'll access the library of OS, call the list_dir function, then pass in our folder. List all the files within our folder, but we'll add an if statement. If the file, then call the function of ends with the file extension of .mp3. If so, return that file. So basically we're saying for every file in this folder of music, if it's an MP3 file, which they are, return that file. So just to test it, I will print my MP3 files. And here they are. I have 5 MP3 files. If there are no MP3 files, we can print a message. We'll say, if not MP3 files, if this list is empty, then let's print no MP3 files found. Just temporarily, I'm going to move these MP3 files to my project folder. I want this folder to be empty for testing purposes. Alright, let's run this. No MP3 files found. If our folder doesn't contain any MP3 files, we get this message. Let's put those files back. Moving on to part 2, we have a list of MP3 files. I will create a while loop. While true. This will contain the main loop of our program. If we ever want to exit, we can break out of the loop. Within my loop, I will print. I'll add some text decoration, just a few asterisks, MP3 player, a few asterisks again, and then print my song list. Here, we're going to output all of our songs, and we'll use the enumerate function. For every index, song in enumerate. So what the enumerate function does, enumerate returns an enumerate object. It's an iterator. And when you get the next element in this sequence, it'll return a tuple. It'll return a number to enumerate something, and the next item in the sequence. So we're going to enumerate our MP3 files, as well as a number, which will serve as the index. Normally it starts at 0, but we'll set that to start at 1. So pass in a keyword argument of start equals 1. Now within this loop, we'll use a print statement. We'll use an f string, print the index, a period, then insert the song name. So now when we run this, then just temporarily I'm going to break, because currently we're stuck in an infinite loop with no way to escape. We'll put that in for testing purposes. So when we run this, we should get a list of our songs. I have 5 songs. Each of these songs is enumerated because we've used the enumerate function. We have an index and a song name. Now, if we didn't use the enumerate function, it would look something like this. For every song in MP3 files, output each song. So you could write it that way, but I like including those numbers, the index number. We'll need them later anyways. Okay, let's no longer break. We're going to accept some user input. we'll say choice input equals, call the input function. New line, enter the song number to play, or if the user wants to quit, we'll say or capital Q to quit, colon space. Looks like I misspelled input. If the user wants to exit, we have to check to see if this variable is a capital Q. We can use an if statement. If choice input dot call the upper function, just in case they type in a lowercase q, we'll make it uppercase, is equal to a character of capital Q. That means the user wants to quit. If so, let's print a goodbye message. Bye, and break, to break out of the infinite loop. Okay, let's test it. MP3 player, my song list. Enter the song number to play or Q to quit. You know what? I just want to quit. I will press Q. I can do lowercase q or capital Q. And we print bye. And we exit the program. Good, we can at least escape that loop. Let's say the user doesn't type in a song number or the letter Q. Let's check to see if the choice input is not a digit. If not, choice underscore input, we can check to see if this is a digit. Call the isDigit method, where we will print enter a valid number. Then we can use continue. Break will break out of the loop. Continue will skip one cycle. If the user's choice is not a digit, do this. We'll test it. Enter song number to play or Q to quit. I'm going to type in P for pizza. Enter a valid number, and then we have that prompt again. We have to enter something valid. Here we'll choose a song number. This will be a variable of choice. Choice equals. Now our choice input, it's a string, because when you accept user input, it's a string. We'll convert it to be an integer using explicit typecasting. So take your choice input and typecast it to an integer. Now take a look at this. Let's say I want the first song, number 1. That has an index of 0. And the next song would have an index of 1, so on and so forth. We're going to subtract 1 from our choice input. The song number doesn't match with the index number. By subtracting 1, it will. We have to see if the numbered choice falls within that range of songs that we have. With an if statement, if 0 is less than or equal to our choice, and is it less than, call the length function, the length of our list of MP3 files. I have 5 files within this list, so if my choice falls between 0 and 4, then we'll play a song. But if it's outside that range, we won't. For now, I'm going to pass, else we're trying to play something outside of that range. We'll print invalid choice. Let's test it. We have song numbers 1 through 5. I'll play song number 42069. Invalid choice, and we get our prompt again. Okay, let's type in something serious. I'll type in 1. Okay, nothing appears to happen. That's good. Here's where we'll play some music. So rather than pass, we're going to call a function, but we still need to define that function. We're going to call a function of play music. We'll pass in our folder, as well as pass in our list of MP3 files, subscript operator, the numbered choice. So if choice is 0, we're passing in the first item within our list. Or if choice was 1, that would be the next item. So now we have to define this function of play music. So scrolling back to the top, before our main function, we can actually collapse this. We're going to define a function of play music. We're passing in two arguments, folder and a song name. The parameters will be folder, comma, song name. We'll combine them, both folder and song name. We'll name it file path equals access the library of OS, access the module of path, then call the join function. We're going to join our folder and our song name. Basically, we're concatenating our folder name and our song name. It'll be a lot easier for us to work with these songs if we need to access them. For some reason, if this file path doesn't exist, if not, access the library of OS, access path, then call the exists function. If this file path doesn't exist, because we're using not. If this file path doesn't exist, we'll print file not found, then return to return to our main function. Just temporarily for testing purposes, let's take out not and say file found. I would like the first song. I'll type in 1, hit enter, file found. Okay, that's good. So we're checking if that file doesn't exist. So undo those changes. At this point, we have a valid file path. We're going to use Pygame's audio mixer to load that file. We'll access Pygame, then access our mixer, access music, then call the load function, then pass in that file path. Then we're going to play that file after loading it. Pygame.mixer.music, then call the play function to play it. We will print, I'll use an F string, I'll add a new line, now playing, :space, we will insert our song name. We don't want to display the full file path when showing the song that we're playing. We're going to use the song name, not file path. And then we'll add a few commands. Print commands. A user is going to be able to pause, capital P for pause, comma space. We'll do capital R for resume, resume after pausing, that is, and S for stop. Okay, let's see if we can play a song. I will play song number, how about 4? All right, it's working. And then we'll stop it by pressing this red square, because we have no way to actually stop it yet. All right, we'll create a loop. While true, we can do the following commands and just break if we want to exit. We will assign a variable of command equals accept user input. Now for the prompt, I'm going to use a greater than sign, space. Then with our input, we will call the upper function to make it uppercase, in case the user types in one of these letters lowercase. We'll just convert it to be uppercase to make it easy. So a user can pause, resume, and stop. We can use a few if statements for that. So within our while loop, if command is equal to a capital P, then pygame.mixer.music, call the pause function to pause the song. And we'll print paused. Else if our command is equal to R, they want to resume. And I'll just copy this line of code. We're going to unpause. Then print resumed. Else if our command is S, they want to stop. Pygame.mixer.music, call the stop function. Then we will print stopped. And return. We need to return so we can break out of this while loop. Anything else is an invalid command. Else print invalid command. And that should be everything. Let's test it. Okay, MP3 player, my song list, enter the number song to play. I'll start with 1. I'm gonna pause, I'll press P. The song is paused. I'll resume again by entering R. Now I'm gonna stop by pressing S. Okay, and we're back to the main menu. I'll pick a different song. I'll pick number 2. Oh yeah, that's my jam. Alright, now I'm gonna pause. Then resume. And then stop. Let's try number 5. Pause. Resume. Pause. Resume. Stop. And cue to quit. Bye. Alright everybody, that is how you can create an MP3 player using Python.